Here's what I have so far of the Leprechaun Cup polystyrene drawing project. I recall doing the details for the inner shirt during the afternoon hours and everything else during the evening hours. After Dan and I got back from when we went to Brody's at the Bay and took Dad's friend Bill with us. The latest thing I've done is this. And this was after I did all the details for this arm. Which I did after I did this. The right side of the collar. These are all the Sharpie markers I recall using so far, as I'm in the outlining process for the Leprechaun Cup. And these are more Sharpie markers I plan on using in the future. Either as part of finishing the outlining process or the process immediately afterwards, which is the coloring part. Despite going to bed somewhere between 2 and 2:30 in the morning, I naturally woke up at around 8 in the morning. For some time I considered going back to bed to get a few more hours of sleep. To ensure that I wouldn't be tired. Throughout the day. So I spent the first few hours I was awake in bed. But I kept getting up for various reasons, such as around 8:40 in the morning. Which was when Dad toasted some bread. I believe he was given. I'm not entirely sure by who. But he put peanut butter and jelly on the slices. I actually ate those slices separately instead of doing what I usually do, which is to make a sandwich. That decision likely was because of how those pieces of bread were shaped. This makes for a pretty delicious sort of grilled cheese sandwich. I recall Dad told me that this is one of the bagels that he got at a local Dunkin' Donuts. On our way back from Bill's place after we dropped him off at his place, after we ate at Brody's at the Bay, as a sort of celebration of him being back here, we went to Brody's at the Bay since it's somewhere, one of the places Dad and I will frequently go to when there's an American football game that involves the Minnesota Vikings. And for these visits, at least within the past year, we would usually bring Bill with us. So, that's the place Dad and Bill both agreed upon. And I was kind of interested in going to that place too. I recall it was around 3 p.m. When we left to first pick up Bill and then go to Brody's at the Bay. Ultimately, I believe it was around 3:30 p.m. when we got to Brody's at the Bay, during which time I recall it was a mid-30s degree Fahrenheit day. Cloudy, somewhat, but it wasn't raining or snowing at all. There was pretty much nobody there. At the time we arrived, but there were considerably more people there by the time we were done with our visit to Brody's at the Bay. I recall that time as being around 5:30, 6 p.m. An item they had on the menu called fish tacos caught Dad's eye, which resulted in it catching my interest. And the three of us all ended up getting the same thing. In order of three fish tacos, and as our side, the onion rings. With ketchup to dip the onion rings in. I recall asking if they had queso, which is what I usually say when referring to nacho cheese sauce. Since in the past I've been to restaurants where eateries where cheese sauce is referred to as queso. Though it turned out they didn't have any queso, so then I just requested some extra ketchup instead. And for my initial onion rings, I ended up using all of the ketchup in those two dipping cups. I recall I'm currently on my second or so cup of Dad made it around 9 p.m., if I recall, would be my best guess. So technically it's a night pot. I had 2 to 3 cups from a morning pot from roughly 8:40 in the morning to somewhere between 11 in the morning and noon, as my estimation range for the end time. Well, at Brody's, I had just one glass of beer. In this case, I recall it was trying something new. The Mocha Stout from the Young Lion Brewing Company. Since I like dark beer when I have beer, I'm not entirely sure, but this might be made from coffee Dad got from that after dropping Bill off at his place after Brody's trip to a local Dunkin' Donuts. Since Dad had a gift card for Dunkin' Donuts, I requested a bag of their darkest roast. Since I assume that darker roasts of coffee have more flavor. Same thing for dark brews of beer. So Dad ended up getting a bag or two of their new Midnight Blend of coffee. Midnight Blend roast of coffee, which indeed it's said on the bag that it's a dark roast. Around 11:30 in the morning, and my mom called me because yesterday I mentioned an application for an Artist Row juried art show at the public market. And at the time, she said that she would help me with the application first thing in the morning. She helped in terms of paying for it. The application fee was only $10, with only a $65 boofy if I get accepted. For images for the application, they have a 2 MB limit, so the 4 images that made up part of the application, 3 for showing the kind of work I do, and the 1 for evaluation for prizes at the show. They were JPEGs that had to be compressed. And they had a naming convention. Last name, comma, first name, comma, slide 1, 2, 3, etc. Though I assumed that for the one I submitted for consideration for prizes would be a second slide 1. So that's what I did. All in all, that's what ultimately led me to stop trying to get a few more hours of sleep in. That and those 2 to 3 cups of coffee I had of the morning pot, which I would now say I finished around noon. It was a short application online. Took me 5 to 10 minutes to fill it out. It essentially consisted of some multiple choice questions with a few 1 to 2 sentence short answer questions. It was pretty nice of Mom to help me, and for that, I'm grateful. As for my cold, I've pretty much recovered from it, with the only symptoms being left being the occasional coughing and resulting spittle mixed with phlegm.